poor boy said it was his mother's last painting, and the rich CEO froze at the name on the canvas. One morning, Ethan stood in the park holding a painting against his chest. The canvas was worn, its frame chipped. But the colors still glowed. A river cutting through emerald green trees, sunlight breaking through the leaves. Michael Anderson, one of the richest CEOs in the city, was walking past after his morning jog. His eyes caught the painting. He stopped mid-step, staring like he'd seen a ghost. This can't be," he whispered. His voice cracked, his breath uneven. Who painted this?" Ethan's fingers tightened around the frame. "It was my mom's last painting," he said softly. "She made it before she passed away." Michael's throat tightened. His gaze dropped to the bottom right corner of the canvas. To a name signed in delicate handwriting. His hands trembled. "I know this name," he said. Almost to himself. He looked at Ethan, his voice breaking. "Where did you get this?" Ethan hesitated, unsure if he should tell this stranger. "It's the only thing I have left of her," he said. "We lost our home. I sleep in the shelter now. But I keep this painting with me. Always." Michael took a step closer, his eyes locked on the signature as if it had pulled him into another lifetime. The park seemed to fade away. All he could see was that name. A name he hadn't spoken in years. Michael's voice shook. What was your mother's name?" Ethan looked down, brushing his thumb along the chipped frame. "Her name was Anna. Anna Miller." Michael froze. The world around him went silent. He hadn't heard that name in over 2 decades. His heart pounded in his ears. He remembered the young artist who used to paint by the river. The one with the laugh that could light up an entire room. He remembered the way she had refused to sell her work for money. Saying art was meant to heal, not to be traded. And now, standing before him, was a boy who had her eyes. Where is she now?" Michael asked, his voice breaking. Ethan swallowed hard. "She died last year. Cancer." The words sliced through the morning air like a blade. Michael's chest tightened painfully. He wanted to ask 100 questions. But Ethan was already glancing away, shifting his weight nervously. "I have to go," the boy said, taking a step back. Michael reached out instinctively. "Wait. Please, I knew your mother. I knew her a long time ago." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You did?" Michael nodded slowly, his throat dry. "Yes. And if you let me, I want to tell you something about her. Something you might not know." They sat on a worn park bench, the painting resting between them. Michael's eyes lingered on the brushstrokes, remembering the way Anna's hand moved over a canvas. Precise, gentle, full of life. "Your mother and I met when we were both very young," Michael began. "She was painting by the river. I was just a broke college student who didn't know what to do with my life." Ethan leaned in, listening quietly. "She gave me my first real conversation about dreams," Michael continued. "Told me that money wasn't the goal. That it was just a tool to build something worth leaving behind." Ethan blinked, his eyes softening. "She told me that too just before she..." His voice trailed off. Michael nodded slowly. "She meant it. Every word." For a long moment, they said nothing. The morning sun filtered through the trees, casting light over the painting. Michael finally spoke again. "Ethan, do you trust me?" The boy hesitated. Then gave a small nod. "Good," Michael said. "Because I think that painting, your mother's last work, holds a secret. And I need your help to find out what it is." Michael led Ethan to his car, a sleek black sedan that looked out of place against the cracked pavement. "Where are we going?" Ethan asked, clutching the painting. "Somewhere your mother used to go," Michael said. "A place where she might have left something for you." As they drove through the city, Ethan stared out the window, his mind spinning with questions. They stopped in front of an old brick building with faded green doors. Michael unlocked them with a key that seemed far too familiar in his hands. Inside, the air smelled faintly of turpentine and old wood. Paintings lined the walls, landscapes, portraits, abstracts, all in Anna's unmistakable style. Ethan's eyes widened. You kept these?" Michael nodded. "Every single one. She gave them to me before she left the city." Ethan stepped closer to one of the paintings, his hand hovering over the surface. "Why would she?" Michael interrupted softly. "Because she trusted me, and now, I think she's trusting you. He pointed to a large canvas leaning against the far wall. That one has the same signature as yours. But there's something hidden in it. Ethan set the painting down on a wooden table, its faded edges catching the dim light from a single bulb overhead. Michael pulled on a pair of gloves and carefully tilted the canvas forward. Look here, he said, pointing to the lower corner just beneath the signature. There was a faint bulge in the canvas, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. Ethan frowned. What is that? Michael took a small precision knife from a drawer. A place where she stitched something inside. Ethan's eyes widened. You mean, she hid something in the painting? Michael nodded slowly. Anna used to do this when she wanted to protect something important. She'd sew it between the layers of the canvas. With delicate movements, Michael slid the knife along the seam, careful not to damage the artwork. A small envelope fell onto the table. Ethan's breath caught. His fingers trembled as he reached for it. On the front, in soft looping handwriting, were the words, "For my son, when the time is right." Ethan stared at it, his throat tight. She wrote this for me." Michael swallowed hard. "Open it." Inside was a folded letter, yellowed with time. Ethan unfolded it and began to read. His mother's voice seemed to come alive through the words. She wrote about dreams she wanted for him, about a truth she had never told anyone. At the bottom, she had written, "If you find Michael Anderson, trust him. He will take you to the place where I began, and where you will find the rest." Ethan looked up, his voice barely a whisper. "She knew I'd meet you." Michael nodded, his heart pounding. She didn't just know, she planned it. The next morning, Michael picked Ethan up from the shelter. The boy clutched the letter in his pocket as if it were a lifeline. "Where are we going?" he asked again, his voice carrying both fear and hope. "To the place where your mother began," Michael replied. They drove out of the city, the skyline shrinking in the rearview mirror. Hours later, they arrived at a small lakeside town. Michael parked near a row of old shops, their signs faded from years of sunlight. He led Ethan down a narrow path toward the water. "This is where she painted her first piece," Michael said softly, stopping by a weathered bench facing the lake. "She told me this lake was where she came to think, to heal, to dream." Ethan sat on the bench, his eyes scanning the horizon. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Michael reached into his coat and pulled out another small canvas. "She left this with me years ago. Said it wasn't finished until her son saw it." The painting was of the same lake, but in the lower corner. Unfinished brushstrokes left a gap. A space waiting for something. Ethan touched the empty space. "Why didn't she finish it?" Michael took a deep breath. "Maybe, because she wanted you to." The boy's chest tightened. "But I don't even know how to paint." Michael smiled faintly. "Neither did I. Until she taught me. And now, I'll teach you." 2 days turned into weeks as Michael and Ethan returned to the lake every morning. Michael brought paints, brushes, and blank canvases. He taught Ethan the way Anna had taught him. How to hold the brush lightly, how to see colors in the shadows, how to breathe before each stroke. At first, Ethan's hand shook, his lines uneven. But slowly his strokes became confident, his colors alive. One crisp morning, Michael handed him the unfinished painting. "It's time," he said. Ethan hesitated, then dipped his brush into the paint. With each stroke, he felt closer to his mother, as if she were guiding his hand. Hours passed until finally, the gap was filled. The lake completed under a sunrise sky. Ethan stepped back, tears in his eyes. "It's done." Michael placed a hand on his shoulder. "No, it's just beginning." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Michael's gaze hardened slightly. "Your mother didn't just leave you art, Ethan. She left you a legacy. And there are people who will try to take it from you once they know it exists. We have to protect it." Ethan's heart pounded. "Protect what?" Michael reached into his bag and pulled out a leather-bound journal. It's hers. And inside is everything she never told the world. Ethan opened the leather-bound journal slowly, the old spine creaking. The pages were filled with his mother's handwriting, sketches of landscapes, color swatches, and notes that felt like whispers from the past. But in the middle of the book, something different appeared: maps, addresses, and coded symbols. "What is this?" he asked. Michael leaned closer, his brow furrowing. "She never showed me this," he said quietly. These are locations, studios, galleries and something else." Ethan traced one of the maps with his finger. "It says Harbor Street, number 12. Michael's eyes darkened. "I know that place. It's an abandoned gallery. She told me once she hid something there after an art show went wrong." Ethan looked up. "We have to go." Michael hesitated. "It's not safe. That address, it's in a part of the city you don't just walk into. But if we go together. And you never let go of that journal." Ethan nodded firmly. That night, they drove back into the city, parking far from the street. They walked under flickering streetlights until they reached a boarded-up building. Michael pried open the door, and a musty scent of dust and paint filled the air. Inside, canvases lay scattered on the floor. Ethan moved deeper, his flashlight catching something in the corner. A crate with his mother's signature painted on the lid. "This is it," he whispered. Michael knelt beside the crate, brushing away years of grime. "Help me open it," he said. Together they forced the rusted latches apart. The lid creaked open to reveal a stack of paintings wrapped in cloth. Ethan pulled the first one out, his breath catching. These are hers. Each canvas was unlike anything Ethan had seen before. Vibrant colors, surreal landscapes, portraits that seemed alive. But at the very bottom of the crate lay a sealed envelope, heavier than paper should be. Ethan tore it open and poured the contents onto the floor. Dozens of small photographs spilled out, along with a folded sheet of paper. Michael picked it up, reading aloud. "If you found this, it means my work, and my truth, are now in your hands. There is someone who will come for them. Do not trust him." Ethan stared at him. "Ooh." Michael shook his head. "I don't know. But if she wrote that, it means this person is real, and dangerous." Suddenly, a noise echoed from outside. Footsteps. Michael grabbed the crate. "We have to move. Now." They ran through the back door into the alley, the sound of boots pounding the pavement behind them. They didn't stop running until they reached Michael's car. Ethan clutched the journal and the envelope of photographs against his chest. "Who was that?" he gasped. Michael started the engine, pulling out fast. "I don't know, but he was watching the building. Probably has been for a long time." Ethan looked at the paintings stacked in the back seat. "Why would anyone want these so badly?" Michael's grip tightened on the wheel. "Because your mother's art isn't just art. There's a reason she hid it. And there's something in those photographs. Maybe someone in them. That connects to the past she never told you about." Ethan flipped through the photos. His breath stopped on one image, a younger version of his mother standing beside a man, whose face was half in shadow, and Michael, barely in his 20s, standing in the background. Ethan looked at him sharply. "You knew him?" Michael's jaw clenched. "Yes. And if he's still alive, he won't stop until he gets what your mother left you." Ethan sat back, heart pounding. "Then we have to get there first." Michael nodded. "And to do that we have to go back to where it all started." Michael drove for hours, the highway stretching endlessly ahead. The paintings, journal, and photographs were locked in the trunk. Ethan sat quietly in the passenger seat, replaying the image of his mother beside that shadowed man. "You never told me about him," Ethan said finally. Michael exhaled slowly. "His name is Richard Hale. He was an investor. Your mother thought he was helping her bring her art to the world. But he wanted something else." Ethan frowned. "What?" Michael's voice hardened. "Control. He wanted to own every piece she made. So he could use it to launder money. When she refused, he destroyed her first gallery, and made sure she couldn't sell her work anywhere." Ethan's stomach twisted. "So she hid everything?" Michael nodded. "And she trusted me to keep it safe. But if he's still alive, he's not after the money anymore. He's after something in those paintings." Ethan pulled the journal from his backpack, flipping to a page near the back. There, tucked inside, was a tiny key taped to the paper. "What's this for?" Michael's eyes flicked from the road to the key. "We're about to find out." He exited the highway toward a town Ethan had never seen before. A town Michael called the last place she ever painted in peace. The key fit into a lockbox hidden beneath the floorboards of a small cabin by the lake. Michael lifted the lid, revealing a stack of rolled canvases wrapped in wax paper. Ethan unrolled one and froze. It wasn't just a painting. It was a map, hidden beneath layers of oil paint, showing locations marked with red dots. "These are the same as in the journal," Ethan whispered. Michael studied it. "But some of these marks are in completely different states. She must have hidden her work all over the country." Ethan's hands shook. "Why?" Michael pointed to faint writing along the map's edge, "For the day my son can walk free without fear." Ethan looked up, confused. Fear of what? Before Michael could answer, the sound of tires crunching on gravel echoed outside. He grabbed the lockbox. "They found us." Ethan bolted after him, but before they could reach the car, a black SUV blocked the driveway. A man stepped out, older now, but the sharp lines of his face were unmistakable from the photograph. "Richard Hale." Richard's voice was calm but cold. "Michael Anderson, still playing the hero, I see." His eyes shifted to Ethan. "And this must be the boy. Anna's boy." Ethan instinctively stepped back. Clutching the journal, "Stay away from me," he said. Richard smirked. "You think your mother was a saint? She took something that belonged to me." Michael stepped forward. "She took back what was hers. And what you stole." Richard's smile faded. "I don't care about the art anymore. I care about the key." His gaze dropped to Ethan's hand. Michael moved, blocking his view. "You're not getting it." Richard's tone turned sharp. "Then you'll both regret this." Two men stepped from the SUV, advancing toward them. Michael grabbed Ethan's arm. "Run." They sprinted through the trees, branches snapping underfoot, Richard's men chasing close behind. Ethan's lungs burned. But he didn't stop until Michael shoved him behind a fallen log. "Stay down," Michael whispered. Footsteps passed nearby. After several tense minutes, the forest went silent again. Michael looked at Ethan. "We can't keep running like this. We have to end it, on our terms." Michael led Ethan deeper into the forest, until they reached an abandoned ranger station. Inside, dust hung in the air. And broken furniture lined the walls. Michael locked the door behind them. "We have one advantage," he said. "Richard doesn't know the full map's code. Without it, the paintings are just paintings." Ethan opened the journal and the rolled canvas from the cabin, laying them side by side. "There's a pattern here," he murmured. "The dots on the painting, they line up with the handwriting in the journal. She was hiding more than art." Michael leaned over. "What are those numbers?" Ethan ran his finger along the margin. "Coordinates. Each one's linked to a location. But they're arranged to form a bigger picture." Michael's eyes widened. "A key to unlocking the last vault." Ethan frowned. "Last vault?" Michael hesitated. "She told me once she had a masterpiece, one she never showed anyone. Said it could change everything." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Where is it?" Michael's jaw tightened. "That's what we're about to find out." 2. They drove through the night, following the coordinates to a remote coastal town. Waves crashed against jagged cliffs as they parked near an old lighthouse. Ethan shivered in the salty wind. "You think it's in there?" Michael glanced at the looming tower. "If your mother wanted it hidden, this would be the place." Inside, the spiral staircase groaned under their steps. At the top, a heavy wooden chest sat in the corner. Ethan's hands trembled as he fit the tiny key into the lock. It clicked, he opened the lid and gasped. Inside was a single, massive canvas wrapped in black cloth. Michael carefully unwrapped it. The painting was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. A storm, tossed sea under a blood-red sky, a lone figure standing on the shore. But hidden in the brushstrokes were faint, almost invisible letters. A name. Michael's face drained of color. This is why Richard wants it." Ethan leaned closer. "Why? What does it say?" Michael's voice was barely a whisper. "It's the name of the man who brought him down years ago. And your mother painted it before it happened." 2. Before Ethan could process it, footsteps echoed up the staircase. Michael yanked the painting free and shoved it into Ethan's hands. "Go down the service ladder on the side. Don't stop until you reach the car." Ethan hesitated. "What about you?" Michael's eyes locked on his. "I'll hold them off." Ethan slipped through a narrow hatch onto the wind-whipped ladder. Below, waves smashed against the rocks. As he climbed down, He heard shouts above. Richard's voice, angry and sharp. Ethan hit the ground running, clutching the painting. Behind him, the lighthouse door burst open and two men gave chase. He darted through the narrow streets of the sleeping town, heart hammering, until he saw the car. Fumbling with the keys, he threw the painting into the back seat, and started the engine just as Michael came sprinting out from another alley. Blood on his sleeve. Michael dove into the passenger seat. Drive. Ethan floored it, tires screaming as they sped into the night. They didn't speak for miles. The painting lying between them like a silent witness. Finally, Ethan asked, why did she paint that name? How could she know? Michael's voice was low. Your mother, she wasn't just an artist. She had a way of seeing things before they happened. She called them visions. Most people thought it was just imagination. But she swore it was real. Ethan's mind reeled. You're saying she predicted Richard's fall? Years before it happened. Michael nodded. And that's why he's desperate to destroy the painting. If it comes out, it proves she knew, and it could ruin him for good. Ethan stared out at the dark highway. Then we can't hide it. We have to show it. Michael's gaze hardened. That means going public. And once we do, there's no going back. Ethan looked at him. Determination in his eyes. Then we finish what she started. Michael gripped the wheel tighter. All right. Next stop, New York. Plus the city lights of New York burned against the night sky as Ethan and Michael pulled into an underground garage. Michael had called in a favor from an old journalist friend. Someone who had covered Richard Hale's scandals, before they mysteriously disappeared from the news. In a dimly lit cafe above the garage, they met her. Anna's son, she said softly, eyes scanning Ethan. You have her eyes. Ethan slid the painting across the table. This is what he's trying to hide. The journalist Claire pulled out a magnifying glass, studying the faint letters hidden in the storm's waves. This is damning. If this goes public, Richard's empire collapses overnight. Ethan leaned forward. Then let's do it. But Michael's phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered. And Richard's voice filled the air. You think you're safe in the city. I've been watching you since you left the coast. Give me the painting tonight, or the boy never makes it to morning. Michael's jaw tightened. Claire's eyes went wide. We don't have much time. They split up. Michael led Richard's men on a chase through the subway tunnels, while Ethan and Claire took the painting to her newsroom. But as they reached the building, a black SUV screeched to a halt outside. Richard stepped out himself this time, flanked by two guards. Hand it over, Ethan, he said, his voice smooth as glass. Ethan clutched the frame tighter. You ruined her life. You don't get to erase her work. Richard took a slow step forward. You think this painting will make her a hero? It'll only make you a target. Claire stepped between them. He's not the one who should be afraid. She snapped her fingers, and a camera crew appeared from the lobby, lenses aimed squarely at Richard. We've been broadcasting since you arrived, she said. Smile for the world, Richard. His confident smirk faltered. Ethan turned the painting toward the cameras, the hidden letters catching the studio lights. This is my mother's last painting, he said, voice steady. And the man in it is standing right here. The broadcast exploded across social media within minutes. Viewers froze frames, enhancing the faint letters until they were clear the name of the man responsible for a decades old crime. Richard Hale. Federal agents moved faster than Ethan thought possible. By dawn, Richard was in custody, his face plastered across every major news outlet. In the quiet aftermath, Ethan stood on the rooftop of the newsroom, the city waking beneath him. Michael joined him, his arm bandaged but his eyes bright. She'd be proud, he said. Ethan swallowed hard. I wish she could have seen this. Michael handed him a small envelope. She left this for you. I kept it until the right moment. Inside was a short note in his mother's handwriting. My last painting is not the end. It's the beginning of your story. Ethan closed his eyes, the words sinking deep. The pain of loss was still there, but now it carried something else. Purpose. Down on the street, a crowd was gathering, holding prints of Anna's paintings. For the first time, her work was free. Ethan took a deep breath, ready to walk into the future she'd seen for him all along. 2. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for giving your valuable time and being part of this journey.